Beating Alabama in the Iron Bowl and #1 Georgia are no doubt memorable moments, but they probably pale in comparison to what Auburn quarterback Jarrett Stidham did this week. That would come in his native Texas on Friday as he proposed to his longtime girlfriend, Baylor soccer player Kennedy Brown. The happy couple posted on Instagram about the big moment near Lake Brownwood, not too far from where Stidham starred as a prep over at Stephenville High. With that ring taken care of this summer, Stidham can now turn his attention to getting one for the Tigers on the football field. A potential first-round pick in next year's draft, the junior is a potential Heisman Trophy contender after throwing for over 3,000 yards last year and leading his team to an SEC West title. There was some big news out of Tuscaloosa this week, and surprisingly it had nothing to do with the annual July 4th weekend release of Alabama's NCAA violations. On Thursday evening, Crimson Tide radio analyst Phil Savage announced on Twitter that he would be leaving the broadcast booth at the school to concentrate more on his new duties as the general manager of the Alliance of American Football's Phoenix franchise. The surprise news caught some by surprise given that Help's been in the position since 2009 while also running the Senior Bowl in nearby Mobile, which he also stepped away from. Despite Savage's departure, though, longtime Alabama play-by-play voice does not appear to be going anywhere even if he has to break in a new color analyst. Speaking to Al.com, the 64-year-old, who is entering his 30th year in the booth, said he would like to keep calling games even beyond the 2023. "I still think I'm on top of my game," Gold said, "and I'm just going to keep on trucking for a long time, hope he." Gold's booming voice has been the soundtrack of the team's dynasty under Nick Saban and has a few generations of fans who have known no other calling the team's game. It's good to hear HES still plenty enthusiastic about the job going forward, even if it's with a new partner in the booth. Few draw in college football quite like the officials do on a game-by-game basis, but good news for fans just about everywhere: you no longer have to deal with 7 of the Zebras who were clearly biased against your team. On Friday, the NFL announced their roster of 121 officials for the upcoming 2018. While the loss of notable names like Ed Hotchuli, Terry McCauley and Gene Steratore drew a lot of the attention from the announcement, there were several more notable names included in the league's list that college fans might recognize as getting a promotion from Saturdays to Sundays. Among the 7 college Zebras who will now be throwing flags in the NFL, Land Clark from the Pac-12, Matt Edwards Big Ten, Chad Hill SEC, Anthony Jeffries SEC, Tony Jocelyn SEC, Mark Stewart Big 12 and Don Willard Big 10. As you can see, the SEC gets hit the hardest with 3 departures while the Big Ten sees 2 officials moving on. The ACC is the only Power 5 league not to get an official poached, which might be an interesting data point in itself, while Clark was one of the Pac-12's more well-known flag throwers in recent years. No word on who the conferences will replace the vacancies with, as several were head referees. While almost all the officials out there are unfairly maligned for many of their calls, something says that a few coaches around college football will be smiling a little bit wider on Saturday upon hearing that they won't have to deal with any of these 7 any longer. The chips are really fired up about this. MLive.com reports that plans for a sparkling new $32 million facility on the south end of Kelly Shorts Stadium were presented to the Central Michigan Board of Trustees last week, and that it does appear the school will begin the process of getting the necessary funding in place for the big upgrade for the football program. Alumni and donors are buying into the vision, athletics director Michael Alford told the site. Perhaps that's why the project is being dubbed the Chippewa Champions Alumni Center. The board has not approved the project, but they were informed about all the plans for the new building, what it would cost and what it would include, including a new workout center, home and visitor locker rooms, office space, and more. A new scoreboard on the south end of the stadium will also be part of the new center, in addition to a welcome center and home base for returning alumni. It's also to include a rehabilitation center and a nutrition center for all CMU's nearly 500 student-athletes. A firm timetable as to getting shovels in the ground doesn't appear to be in the cards just yet, but athletic departments don't typically present renderings and budget drafts to their board if they're not serious about moving quickly. Though the new building won't be on par with some of CMU's Power 5 peers, the new setup looks very sick on its own and should be a real boon to recruiting if you're a head coach John Bonamego, as it certainly will be of the best in the MAC. We've seen players jump out to a hot start during the and mockingly get dubbed the September Heisman winner, but we're not sure if anybody's really gone for the award quite so hard in July. Such might be the case with West Virginia and quarterback Will Grier, though, who unveiled their next step in a Heisman marketing campaign on Saturday with the debut of a new website. For Mountaineers fans and others who can't get enough of Number 7's story, that address would be www.grier7heisman.com. It's a pretty slick design featuring all the usual bits of stats, family stories, preseason honors, and the like. It comes hot on the heels of the school releasing a highlight video for Grier earlier in the week as a precursor for the on-campaign. The signal caller, who transferred to the school from Florida, is the second leading returning passer in FBS but still faces a bit of an uphill battle to actually win the award in 2018, fancy marketing aside. In some of the latest preseason odds from Las Vegas for the Heisman, Grier was installed at 20-1 in a grouping with fellow QBs like Penn State's Trace McSorley and Washington's Jake Browning, among others, well behind those such as Stanford's Bryce Love or even Alabama's quasi-starter Tua Tagovailoa. If West Virginia can get out to a hot start and remain in the running for the Big 12 title, though, Grier certainly has a shot at winning the award. His play on the field, much more so than these types of campaigns, will do the most talking when it comes time to vote in November and December.